What's up, this is David Clayman doing the video review for ssx-on-tour for Xbox, PS2, and GameCube. This is the fourth game in the SSX series, and the main difference between this game and all of the other iterations are that now On-Tour takes a rock and roll approach to snowboarding and skiing. Basically, the main difference is that the presentation is completely crazy. It sort of looks like a cross between Napoleon Dynamite's sketch pad and something you'd find in a rock and roll obsessed adolescent's locker. So you're going to have drawings all over the menus, and this even extends itself into the gameplay where all the icons have little details on them, and the money signs now have little angel wings and they're floating around. Even the HUD looks a little animated and it's a little shaky. It's really cool and it works really well, especially with the soundtrack, which is mostly composed of rock and roll music and hip stuff that you normally wouldn't expect from an EA Tracks compilation.
Get your rep on.
Also new to the series, you have customization features. We're not talking about Tiger Woods customization, but you can choose a bunch of different personas for your rider. Let's take a quick look at the customization menu. So you can go male or female, and then you kind of just take a bunch of different looking people and put your own gear on them. In women, you can adjust the makeup, and in men, you can put on sideburns or a beard or stubble, and that's pretty much the extent of it. You're not going to go in and change the width between the eyes or the exact nose they have, but you can probably get someone that looks something like you, or at least somebody that looks completely crazy. Of course, once you have these characters and you get into the game, you've got a ton of gear to choose from. You have a lot of real licensed ski stuff. You've got clothing, pants, gloves, goggles, all the things you'd wear on the mountain. And then plus you can unlock a bunch of wacky outfits. So if you want to ski down the mountain in a panda suit, that's totally fine. You can also change your hair at any time. I myself had a fake mustache on through most of the games and then later went with the mohawk. Also added to the mix, they've introduced skiing. Now, mechanically, skiing doesn't work a whole lot differently from snowboarding, although there is a slightly different feel to it. It feels a little bit technically harder, and you don't really just stick to all those grinds as much as you would with the snowboard. Some people might argue that there's no difference at all, but I found that the speed and the turning is slightly tilted. Also different in this version of the game is the On-Tour mode. This is the main single-player experience. In the last version of SSX, you had an open mountain where you would ski to different areas of the mountain, and that's the way you'd enter a challenge. Now you have a single map screen where icons pop up, and you enter those icons to enter a different kind of challenge. And you progress through the game that way. As you beat them, icons will disappear, and then new ones will appear with a different challenge. It seems sort of random the way the challenges are presented, but it does add variety to the game, keeps you interested. So you're not always going to be racing. You're going to do a lot of really wacky challenges, like this time you might have to escape ski patrols, or you might have to punch some of the crowds on the mountain to gain points, or stay in the air for a long time. So while you have over 100 challenges, you're never really going to get bored playing for a long period of time. So on the single mountain, you've got a bunch of different tracks. As we know, SSX is known for its huge air and a lot of crazy stuff going on in the background, and this game is no different. In fact, this time there's so much stuff on the mountain that you might even get lost for periods of time. There's tons of trees, they've added traffic, so now you have the snow plowing skier guys getting in your way all the time, who, by the way, you can punch for more boost. And aside from that, there's just a ton of scripted events where you go off drums, fireworks will go off, a helicopter might go by. It can all be very distracting, but it's all very cool and really adds to the experience. Just to tack onto that idea, I have to say that the feeling of speed is the best it's been in an SX game yet. There's a little blur effect that's got going on. Of course, you have to bring up burnout whenever you talk about a blur effect, but this really makes you feel like you're barreling down the mountain, especially when you hit the boost. Turning can be difficult, and with the blur and the feeling of speed, it just makes you grit your teeth thinking that you're going to shoot off the mountain into the stratosphere. It's really cool, and I really enjoy just barreling down the mountain without doing any tricks at all. The trick system has received a few slight changes. You can still nose press and tail press, grind, and combo everything together into one gigantic trick down the whole trail if you're good enough. But instead of uber tricks, you now have monster tricks. Basically, you collect boost by performing tricks, and then when your boost meter hits the top of the scale, you can perform a monster trick. You go off a jump and you use the right analog stick, one of 4 directions, to perform a specific monster trick. You can earn new types of monster tricks by collecting money throughout the game, and you can buy them and map them to your right analog stick. And you can also tweak these by holding the stick and moving it slightly in a different direction. These look really cool. They've got a zoom-in effect that slows down, the music cuts out, and they're very similar to the Uber tricks, but they're a little easier to perform in my opinion, and I had a really good time with them. As usual, the Cube has been given a few additions to make up for the fact that there's no online, even though it's on an even footing with the other systems already. You can play as Mario, Luigi, and Peach in the Cube version, and they've all been given not only their own character models, but they have the Nintendo sounds. They even have a little Nintendo Village at the bottom. So this really doesn't feel like something that was tacked on. It feels like a special edition, and the Nintendo fans are really going to get a kick out of this. Just a little note, all three of the characters are excellent at what they do, so it really feels like their stats have been boosted just because they're a special addition to the game. Once again, SSX has proved itself to be a long, challenging, and fun racing game. This is a definite recommendation for anybody who really likes the series or who wants to play a crazy snowboard game because you don't have a lot of other options on the market right now. The only complaints we have with it is that the series hasn't changed a lot in the 4 versions that we've seen, and we'd like to see some bigger changes than the skiing and perhaps the interface next time around. Remember, there's no online mode, so you're going to be going it alone or with a friend split screen, but that doesn't make the game any less fun.